a judge in Colorado blocked the Trump administration from deporting the family of the alleged firebomber. I said this earlier today, but Nomi, one of the things I learned from Michael Duffy, who was my boss at Time Magazine, sell anything you got good at least three times. There's two types of people in America. There are people who say this guy who's accused of firebombing people has a family who's here illegally, deport him, get him out of here. And then there's people who say, well, we need some due process, and how sympathetic are the children, and are they close to the guy? Like, ask a lot of questions. Let's get a process going. Those are the two types of people in America. Nomi, which type are you?
Due process.
Due process. Tell us why.
Well, I think that, it's a slippery slope and it's all subjective. First off, yes, on the this seems very clear, but we also understand that the justice system is very complicated. And, who's to say there might be a curveball in this? I don't think so personally, but I do believe that we have a constitution and we should use it and apply it across the board.
All right, Larry, which school are you in?
Oh, guess. We have a constitution. That's true. Get them out.
It's not for people here illegally.
It is not, and it's not a suicide pact. This is a ridiculous conversation to have. In fact, due process is happening. We're watching what the due process is, which is they are here by the good graces of the State Department. They are not citizens. If we choose to deport them because they're affiliated with a heinous criminal, we can deport them. That's always been the law. It's always been the process. And this judge is completely out of line. Politically, though, this is deadly for Democrats because they have to own this. This is their policy writ large.
So here's why I love both the two-way platform and the boths of you. You both gave lovely short answers that are passionate and principled, and you couldn't disagree more. So let's
we're going to go drinking later.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just have this out a little bit more. Nomi, just on the politics of it, do you agree with Larry that your position is not popular with the American people, or you think your position is more popular?
Well, I think that if it comes down to respecting the Constitution, I think that's tremendously popular, and it's all how the Democrats frame it. I think if we get caught in a Republican set of messaging framing, then we're stuck. But that's the problem with Democrats, is instead of coming up with your own messaging and going out there and convincing America as to why this is a slippery slope, just as Guantanamo was when we were rounding up people with the Patriot Act. I mean, it's just Patriot Act all over again. This is a bad situation. There's always going to be one bad situation that the Republicans are going to use to blanket every other situation and use as an excuse for everything. That's, again, they're weaponizing the Constitution. So the Democrats need to come out with the right message, go out there and campaign on it, and show that Republicans are using this as a way to put fear in the eyes of everyday Americans, just as they are when they're pulling people off the streets that have tattoos of bands and saying that they're members of some sort of cartel. That's not true. There's no evidence there. But again, we have to champion our own narrative. You guys are doing a great job. I'll give that to you.
All right, I'm going to file my nails and do some shopping on Fresh Direct. Larry, you just have at it with Nomi. Go ahead.
I welcome the Democrat strategy of campaighting on this. In fact, I may even donate to the cause. This is absolutely what you should rally around for the next election. And while we're at it, though, I think that they should point out specifically the part of the Constitution that grants Article 3 judicial process rights to people who are in the country illegally, who, by the way, overstayed their welcome, were here illegally for quite some time until the Biden administration inexplicably gave the patriarch of the family a work visa. And of course, the work involved coming up with Molotov cocktails to incinerate innocent Jews, including a Holocaust survivor on a sidewalk in Boulder, Colorado. That's nowhere in the Constitution. They do not have the constitutional right that you have invented here. And if you want to run on the slippery slope argument, I think we're looking at a sweep in 28.
Yeah. So, Larry, you know that historically, up until this administration, the courts have been pretty clear that there are some due process rights afforded people who are in this country illegally. They don't have zero due process rights, right? So the question is, how much do they have?
Well, I think that they have determined that most of those rights fall under the Article 2 courts, which are administrative courts run through the Department of Homeland Security. And that due process really amounts to this. Excuse me, sir, did you enter or stay in the country illegally? Yes, I did. Thank you. You are now deported. That's the due process. And that's what's involved here. And by the way, even if you are in the country legally, if you're affiliated with known terrorists, and I'm pretty sure the family is affiliated with a known terrorist at this point, they can be deported immediately.
Would you count sharing a Netflix account as a close bond?
No, Hulu,
No.
yes, though.
Yeah.
Like what you see? Why don't you subscribe? This is a great opportunity to be part of unique conversations. Just hit the subscribe button. And if you want to watch our events live, go to twoway.tv.